Some interview questions today. I'm here with Taryn and Justin from Snake City, and I have some interview questions I'm going to ask them today. First one is, what was the first snake that you have owned, both of you?
Well, first snake for myself was just a Stimson python, which at the time it was just the easiest to buy, and once I got the license I just needed one straight away. So
Okay.
I had a Woma.
Wow.
That was my first one. Because a carpet wasn't available. Otherwise it would have been a carpet.
Okay.
a lot more adventurous than me.
Very cool. Did you have a mentor for snakes, and why? If you did, why?
For myself, the first person I bought a snake off was Paul Skalecki from Pythonalia, which used to be a reptile business that was running. And because I bought it off him, I asked him the basic questions, and then as I got more, I started asking him more advanced questions, and from there I just asked him every single question. So he was been in the hobby and been around reptiles all his life.
Okay.
And just a real knowledgeable guy. So it's hard in the reptile hobby to find good advice through Facebook and whatnot. So if you can get hold of someone like that, it's priceless.
Okay. Did you, Karen?
For me, funnily enough, my first reptile person was Justin.
Okay.
So for a long time, he was my real life mentor when it came to reptiles, because YouTube and, Instagram and that kind of thing was all you could really learn from if you didn't know someone, and that's not really the best way to get all your information.
Yeah.
So it's good to know someone who you can see their practices working and everything like that. So Justin was my first person, and also Paul because of Justin.
Okay.
And then, just a few YouTube reptile people that would post a few things, and I'd like theirs.
Okay. We're going to go into some of the more breeding questions now. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What got you interested in wanting to breed reptiles?
Really just the experience of watching each stage. So with breeding them, you need to plan their food around this time of year actually. And then from here through to June, you slowly lower the temps. So the whole cooling process. And then when you start doing that to these reptiles, they start behaving different. So watching that. And then obviously, once all that goes, just seeing the magic of the eggs, watching them incubate, keeping them going, and then seeing the little babies come along. So just the whole process, really.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all very interesting.
Very nice.
Aside from the little babies that come after it, it's a fun process to learn, and the more you learn, the more you realise that there's so many different things to learn about it. So
And it just doesn't get old.
yeah, gets
Every time's
interesting.
exciting. Every time I get eggs is exciting.
Very nice. That's really cool. What do you look for in a good Stimson python breeding? Stimson python.
So as in the baby?
No, what do you look for in a good Stimson python for breeding it?
Oh, okay. A good coloration pattern.
Yes, so depending on what you want to breed for, locales are always enticing, creating true bloodlines and whatnot. But
Okay.
the biggest thing is the coloration of the animal. If it looks
Yeah.
nice, and if saying your produce is going to be something that you're going to appreciate and enjoy, because you need to raise these animals. You may not sell them, so you're adding, maybe 10 reptiles to your collection. You need to like what you're producing.
Okay.
And equally as important is the temperament, because you do want to create calm, pleasant, handleable babies, not crazies.
Yeah. What was the trickiest part of breeding?
Getting them to feed. Or getting them to breed, depending on the species.
Yeah. So just getting a good understanding of temperatures and times, and do this at this time, do that at that time. You get one of them wrong, and usually when you get something wrong in that sense, you don't know. until you're meant to get eggs and you don't get eggs.
Yeah.
So now you're scratching your head and you've got to go back to the drawing board and try to figure out what you've done wrong and what you should do different. And because it's not so obvious, you may change something that worked and
Yeah.
something else was an issue. So it can take years to figure out what you've done wrong.
Okay. How long do the snakes carry the eggs for before laying them? And how long did it take for them to hatch?
So it does vary species to species.
Okay.
But Stimson pythons, the mum usually carries them for around 90 days.
Okay.
And through that process, in the very early days, you won't be able to see the eggs. You won't actually know.
Yeah.
As the time goes on and it gets close to the laying, you'll see them start to roll over onto their backs.
Okay.
And they may even look quite swollen depending on the size of the animal and the size of the eggs.
Yeah.
And then incubation, so once they lay, it's generally around 50 days
Yeah.
and they hatch. But that's all through, all that information's come from people who have bred previously, so it's averages. Sometimes
Okay.
it will take 45 days, sometimes it will take 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say?
No, there's not much to add on that. That's exactly what it is.
Okay. How do you look after a hatchling in the first few weeks?
Of it being born.
Yeah.
So you've got to wait for its first shed. You kind of just leave it be for about a week once you get it all set up in its little home.
Yeah.
Then you let it shed. Once it sheds, you can offer it some food. Usually they're not very easy to feed. They don't like to eat their food. They just seem to not want it. It scares them. So you have to force them to eat it, basically.
Okay.
And then once they go through that part and they start to take food and start to actually strike and eat a pinky, then they can move on to their homes once they're eating
Yeah.
properly.
Do you think Stimsons are a good first snake? Why or why do you not?
They're great first snake. They're very easy. They eat, usually. They don't have too much handling needs. I mean, what's the word? No caring needs. But any snake is a difficult animal to say. It's a brilliant first time animal.
Yeah.
Because it's different.
Their size, because they're so easy to maintain and look after, their size is very favourable as a first pet as well, because
Yeah.
they're not going to get to the size of a carpet or something
Yeah.
that if it bites you, it's going to scare you either.
Yeah.
So that's starting with something like a BHP. If you were to get bitten by an animal like this, it may not affect you, but there's a high chance it's going to put you off.
Yeah.
Whereas even an adult Stimson only gets, like a massive adult Stimson is about 1.2 metres
Yeah.
long. So it's not an overly large animal. Small teeth, small bite.
Yeah.
It just makes it more appealing.
Very cool. And final question, if you could have any snake or reptile in the world, what would it be?
That's such a hard
Bushwalker.
question. Yeah, see, he's got his, but I struggle because I want a Burmese python. Has always been the one that I like, just simply because I like the colour and it gets huge, and it was the first snake that I ever learnt about. So I've always said that was going to be my favourite, but I've never actually picked one. I get too caught up in this one I like it, but I like this one, and then I like this one, and then but lizards are cool too, so I like that one. So yeah, it's difficult. I think I want an iguana. Yeah, I want an iguana or a chameleon. That would be cool. See what I mean? I
I was
can't
about
pick
to say,
one.
and here's the live action of why she can't choose.
Personally, I would choose a hognose
Oh, they're pretty
snake.
cool.
Yeah, I love
Because
the way they
they're
react.
cute and they're just really
They're funny.
cute.
They have tantrums.
Yeah,
It's what they They're cool stones.
yeah.
Okay.
Pretty awesome.
Yes. That is all for today. Thank you for your time.
No problem.
worries at all.
Thank you.